Welcome to Falls Count Anywhere, where the wrestling ring meets the heart. Hosted by the gentleman Jody Powell, join us as we dive into the latest pro wrestling news and rumors, from the electrifying world of WWE to the inspiring stories of wrestling for Christ. This is your all-access pass to the action, the faith, and the hope. This is Falls Count Anywhere.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Falls Count Anywhere. I'm your host, the gentleman Jody Powell, and with me, as always, is the mad scientist, Mike Buchanan. Not in the lab again this week, man. I mean, are we talking about like banker hours or professor hours? Here's the lab shut down, or what?
Tony Stark hours. How's that?
Tony Stark hours.
Now that I have the lab to myself, I'm working on my 7th Iron Man suit.
Well, pass a couple of those along, buddy, because
Will do.
I'm feeling anything but like an Iron Man. But you know what? We will press on, persevere, all through the nasal congestion and the coughing and all the fun that comes with this time of year.
Well, speaking of fun, I do hope that since we're doing this, since this will air, I should say, after Christmas, I hope all our viewers had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. And that y'all are ready for the new year.
Absolutely.
Jody's ready for the new year.
The new year's coming, brother. I mean, you know, it's always good. And I'm going to go on a tangent just a little bit because we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to go on a tangent. It's always good to take this time to look back on the year. And when I look back on this past year, there are a lot of things that happened in this year that I would not consider things that were necessarily good. And I'm speaking very personally here, and I'm going to be selfish for a moment. But I always like to take this time to look back on the year. And, you know, so many things, so many life changes happened for me personally, professionally, and not all of them were great things, or so it seems. But the wonderful thing about that is that God puts things in our lives that allows us to grow and allows us to shape and develop and to form and to come out with resolve. You know, Mike, I saw something, and it's not necessarily biblical or anything like that, but it's an interesting thing to think about. That, you know, we get a glimpse of Jesus as a child at the age of 12 in the temple. And we don't hear anything about his life for 18 years until he is roughly 30 years old when he begins his ministry, right? He goes from the kid in the temple to the man at the wedding, basically. Not much is known about those years. It's dark years in terms of knowledge. And the point that was made about those years was that sometimes God takes us and hides us from the world to shape us. And I feel like that's what my 2025 has been. And I'm thankful for that. Even though the things that happen were not necessarily, in my eyes, great things, but they're all short-term suffering for long-term gain. And we're going to talk a lot more about that coming up in Finding Tomorrow, too. But tangent rant over, buddy. I just had to get that off my chest because it is coming up on the new year. I am excited about the new year because the new year always kicks off the road to WrestleMania. And I guess we're on the road, or we're about to be on the road. It feels like South Carolina roads, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, a lot of potholes.
It's a little bumpy so far.
Road construction is what we have here on the road to WrestleMania, is just road construction.
I mean, wow. Okay, let's get into it a little bit because I'm not sure what Raw was, but it wasn't good last week.
Well, in their defense, remember they double. I believe they double taped it. So they're coming off of last Monday night's Raw when they taped this week's Monday night's Raw. So maybe people
I I know they did that for SmackDown. Did they do that for Raw? I wasn't sure. I don't know. I don't keep
honestly
up
don't
with
know.
where it is.
I don't know.
But and they very well may have. But even if they did, that what was on last Monday night was not good. We finally get to see Austin Theory and kind of hear why he was the masked man, and we get a very awkward exchange between he and Paul Heyman, where Paul Heyman basically says, "What do you do?" I mean, he chastised him. It really delegitimized anything Theory had built up as that masked man, and his explanation kind of fell flat with me.
Oh yeah.
And so now we get the main event where the Vision's going to take on CM Punk and the Mad Scientist's favorite wrestler, Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, yep.
And so now we've got Theory inserted into that match as a proving match. Let me tell you, Mike, what I feel like the Vision's becoming. The Vision, I feel like, is becoming the Judgment Day.
Ooh, hey man.
Too many people, too many members. We've got apparently Logan Paul is, even though he wasn't there because he was too busy picking his brother's jaw up off the mat. We've got Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, now possibly Austin Theory. We've got 4 guys. It feels a little Judgment.
It's
not blasphemy. It is not.
That I didn't mean it that way, but I'm just saying there have been crews that ran with 4 or more people is all.
I get that.
Brock?
No, I get. Yeah, what about Brock? I mean, where's he? Off in Saskatchewan somewhere, riding a buffalo. I don't know. He's not at Raw. No, I mean, you know, he'll show up again probably at Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant. So you know, whatever. But you know, it just feels like too that the Judgment Day, the Vision, it's a little haphazardly thrown together. Now there is a way out of this, Mike. There's a way out of this, I think, for the WWE, particularly with the Austin Theory idea. I mean, first of all, we're going to talk about this in a minute. Braun Breaker needs the world title. I think he needs to beat CM Punk. Secondly, whenever Seth Rollins is ready to come back, I think it would be a great storyline that Austin Theory is a Seth Rollins guy, planted by Seth Rollins to destroy the Vision from the inside out. Think about it. What is Austin Theory doing? The stomp. He's doing this. He's doing Seth Rollins' move. And I really like the pairing of Seth Rollins and Austin Theory. Very similar guys, very similar personalities, very similar in how they could pull off an ultimate heel tag team, I think. And I think they would have to be heel. Leave the wife at home. Leave her out of this. Becky Lynch doesn't need to be part of this. But I think the storyline of Austin Theory destroying the Vision from within at the behest of Seth Rollins could prove to be interesting.
I like what you came up with for their name before you came on there this evening. Seth and Austin as the floppers because of the stomp.
Well, you know, we are in South Carolina, man. It's home of the clogs. Or the shag, I guess. I guess the shaggers, the cloggers, whatever. They're the stompers. Stomping and chomping, buddy. Yeah, It's the only way that I think they salvaged this, they being the WWE.
Right.
And now I mentioned, and before we get to Braun Breaker, because I mentioned him and CM Punk coming up, let's also talk about your favorite division, this women's division of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. I think, what do we do? What are we doing here?
They're heading to a Rhea heel turn after Io cost her a title or some such.
Hurry up and get there. Because here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss all involved in tag team storylines. And then on the singles side, we've got Nikki Bella, Stephanie Fernando Valenzuela. I don't know her last name. We've got Bailey and her little cheerleader.
And Maxine Dupree.
And Maxine Dupree.
IC title holder.
So we've got these 5 over here trying to carry the singles division, and you've got these 5 legends over here mixed up in ridiculous tag team garbage. Can we not flip-flop this? Should we not flip-flop this? I mean, why is Rhea? Why is Io? Why is Charlotte? Why is Alexa? Why is Asuka all mixed up in tag team mess? These are the stars of your division. What are you doing? That needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed quickly. Speaking of fixing, Mike, we're coming up on the new year. In the time we have left, I think we ought to do some New Year's resolutions for the WWE. And I know you had a very interesting one. It's going to be shocking to everyone about the one that you had.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
The first one is WWE needs to resolve to retire Rey Mysterio. But I love your take on it. To have Dominic Guerrero be the one that retires.
You know, it's like I told you, the only way that I think I'd be interested in a Dominic Rey Mysterio kind of thing again is if it was kind of like a title versus career, and the poetic justice of Dominic Mysterio retiring Rey Mysterio would be great. But like I told you before, you know, everybody's doing these retirement tours, so it may be the Mysterio Tour of 27, or maybe even further out. How is this guy still wrestling and in the Hall of Fame? I thought they had to be retired. I mean, John Cena's not even in the Hall of Fame. What is this clown doing in the Hall of Fame? I don't understand that. I think you're right. I think he's got some pictures, compromising pictures of somebody in the WWE. I don't get that. I don't understand it. Whatever. That's why their Hall of Fame's a joke. So yeah, that's one resolution. I get behind that. Let's retire Mysterio, but let's do it with Dom. Here's one for you. Braun Breaker, we talked about. Braun Breaker, WWE needs to resolve to put the world title on Braun Breaker.
Sooner rather than later.
I knew that was one that you had as well. I think it happens at the anniversary party of Netflix early in January. I think it has to. But we'll see. WWE is very short to pull the trigger on a lot of things. CM Punk is a great main eventer. I don't know that he's a great champion. Like, they haven't given him anything as far as his title reign. Here's another thing WWE needs to resolve to do. I think WWE needs to resolve to take that title off of Cody Rhodes and turn him heel. And I think that title needs to come off of Cody and onto Randy Orton, or Drew McIntyre. And I'm fine with either one.
Absolutely.
In fact, I would be fine with Randy Orton costing Cody Rhodes the title to Drew McIntyre and having Cody turn on Randy and maybe even aligning himself with the man he's been fighting for weeks, for months, Drew McIntyre. But Cody needs a refresh. He needs a rebrand. He needs something.
Yeah.
And I think he is a better heel without the title than with it. It's too much. It'd be too much of a distraction. Cody needs that heel turn. Go ahead.
I think we should resolve to come back after the break and do our favorite section of the program. But those are just my thoughts. I know you always have thoughts.
I think I always have thoughts, and my thought on that is, that's a resolution I think we can keep. That's one that could actually happen. Stay tuned, fans, because we are going to come back right after these messages with the favorite part of this show, both for Mike and myself, and hopefully for you as well. And that's Finding Tomorrow. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
wrestling fans, the gentleman Jody Powell here, and I want you to go to Instagram and I want you to follow me, Gentleman Jody Powell. We're going to get backstage exclusive video of WFC, of Falls Count Anywhere. We're going to talk about the WWE. We're going to hear from WFC superstars. We're going to talk about Finding Tomorrow. We're going to go live. I don't even know what that means, but we're going to do it all on Instagram. Come down, follow me, Gentleman Jody Powell. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back, viewers, to our favorite section of the show, Finding Tomorrow. Now, as we've talked about, this show will air about 3 days before 2026 hits. And in the new year, it's a time for people to make a resolution. Most people, according to the statistics, don't keep those resolutions. And me personally, I've been guilty of several. Now, that being said, Jody, you were recently on a trip, brother, and you saw some things that people might want to resolve not to do anymore. Why don't you tell our audience about that?
Yeah, Mike, I spent some time during Christmas in Washington, D.C., and my son lives there. Took the family up, and, we had a great time. And so my son's very much a planner and agenda kind of person, and we had pretty much every minute mapped out. And so for some of that time while we were in Washington, D.C., we spent time in Georgetown. Now, I had no idea coming into it what to expect. I thought we were just simply going to tour Georgetown University. That's all I know about Georgetown, is that there's a university there. They're the Hoyas, and they used to be pretty good at basketball. That's about all I knew. Georgetown's a quaint little town. It is absolutely beautiful. It's if you think about the quintessential New England kind of town, I mean, Georgetown could definitely fit that mold. You could film multiple Hallmark Christmas movies there. I mean, that's what it looks like. But here's the thing that I noticed that really it tugged at my heart, and it really caused me to get very discouraged and disgruntled, really, is that as we were walking up and down Main Street, we're going in and out of stores and shops, and the blatant, gross consumerism of it all. And what I mean by that is that, we saw things that businesses were pricing so high and so ridiculously expensive, and people were buying it in droves. I'm talking about hand soaps that cost $150. I'm talking about gift sets of perfume that's over $300. I'm talking about these ridiculous rotten lemon is what I like to call them. These Lululemon leggings that women will go in and they'll buy these leggings that are $120.
I liked your first call of when you sent it to me, the Moo Moo Lemons.
The Moo Moo Lemons, that's exactly right. It was disheartening because I just couldn't believe the amount of money that was being spent on such frivolous things, and the way people were clamoring to get these things, whether they were for gifts or whether they were for, themselves or whatever the case may be. And, it just kind of robbed me of the Christmas spirit a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I've never been one that's like, I am not the Christmas spirit. I am not, Mr. Jolly Jolly Jingle when it comes to Christmas. It's not my favorite time of year, and mostly because of these things. Because of so much attention being taken away from the reason for this season. And this just, it's almost like gluttony, right? I mean, it's just greed, and it's willing to spend money that I'm sure a lot of these people didn't have, to get things because they have a little label on them, or because, they can say that, oh yeah, I use this soap or this cologne, and that's what this is. And you say the name, and if you're in the know, you know that it cost a lot of money. So that must elevate your status somehow. Give me a good blue light special on something, buddy. I mean, it's not, I'm just not in the need of all of these things and these material things, and it brought me down a little bit, and it took a little while for me to realize where it was kind of going and where God was leading me with it and why it was kind of shown to me. And I come back to the idea of perspective. The perspective that we have in the short term, the here and now, is not God's perspective. And he cares about what we're going through. He cares about what we're facing today and tomorrow. But God's vision is long term as well. And it's evident in the Bible. And I think there are a couple of verses that speak specifically to how we should view things here versus there in terms of these material things, Mike. And, the first one that comes to mind is storing up treasures in heaven. And, Mike, do you have those verses, or do you have?
Yeah, Matthew 6:19 through 21.
That's the one, yes.
Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, and they tax you beyond measure. Oh, wait, that's not in the original. But break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I just want to take one moment to add this. You were talking about having perfume, or Luther Vandross purse, or whatever the silly things are. And
close, buddy, close.
I think a lot of times I've done it. I don't know if you've done it, Jody, but we as Christians, we want to talk about what we've done. I'm going to fast for 40 days. I'm going to give X, Y, and Z to 123 Ministries.
Yeah.
And praise God that you're doing that. But as politely as I can say this, I ain't sure I care. Because the Bible says not to let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
Right.
And I'll step off of my tangent here.
You're exactly right. And that's what it really comes down to, whether it's buying the designer clothes or whatever. And look, if you have the means to do that and you want to do that, do it. That's fine. I don't even think this verse is anti-stuff. But when it comes to being the main focal point of your purpose, whether it's buying stuff or whether it's giving to a charity or whether it's doing deeds in a way that elevates you somehow in your mind or in the mind of others, then your focus is wrong. And God won't bless that.
Let me see.
God does. Oh, go ahead. I was just saying, God doesn't bless the things that you do for charity that you boast about.
Let me see if I can step on one or two more toes. You mentioned that if you want to buy stuff, that's fine, right? And I agree with you. God's not talking about, hey, don't buy anything. I've got everything you need up in heaven. He's talking about not making it an idol. Mm-hmm. And for Facebook's favorite Canadian Japanese redneck, I believe the other hidden meaning here is before you buy that $300 Starbucks cup, have you paid your tithes? Mm. Before you pay $1,700 for a LeBron Jordan pair of Nikes, have you given anything to those in need in your area?
Yeah. We need to be good stewards of what God's blessed us with. And some of us have been blessed with a lot more than others. That doesn't mean God's favors upon them more than you. Not at all. I think the most powerful gifts comes from the least available means. And, it's not to say that we need to be rich or win the lottery in order to start giving. Giving little is in just out of the goodness and kindness of being led by the Spirit and of your heart. is blessed so much more than that person that flaunts around the fact that they volunteered so many hours at this organization and they won these awards for being civic leader of the year and blah, 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 blah. This isn't about you. It's not about me. It's about doing God's work. And it's not about your salvation either.
No.
The verse talks about storing up treasures in heaven. In doing these things and doing them in a way that is pleasing to God, and so that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, you are storing up treasures in heaven. Now, the proof that this isn't for works for salvation is, well, why would God allow you to store up treasures in heaven if somehow you're not going to get there? This is not working for your salvation. This is cultivating your relationship with God and with Jesus Christ. And when you give out of the kindness and goodness of your heart, when you do for others, when you do so in a way that's not boastful or does not, there's a reason Jesus would tell people after these miracles that he would do, now, don't tell anybody. Keep this to yourself. And they couldn't. They wouldn't. But that's the kind of heart and the spirit that we need to give with. And to see someone just handing over credit cards and debit cards to buy all of this ridiculously expensive stuff, Mike, I'm not kidding you, man. There was a box of like 3 little lotions in them that was $170. Now think of all of the good that $170 could do for someone or multiple people that were in need, that were hungry.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was in DC, and there are people in need in DC and in surrounding areas, just as there are in your area of the world. So just be mindful. I'm not trying to be the fun police. I'm not saying that people shouldn't reward themselves for working hard and buying things that they want or they like. That's all fine, well, and good. But like you said, Mike, it's when it becomes the idol. It's when it becomes the focus. It's when it becomes something that you want that's beyond your means. That's when it becomes the problem. And it just grieves my heart to see that in such full, blatant display without someone saying, what the heck is going on here? I personally, I'd rather have 3 T-shirts, 2 pairs of sweatpants, and a 1992 Honda Civic, and build up treasures in heaven than to have the 2025 Tesla that in 10 years is going to be considered an old car. It's like the verse says, it will rot away.
I know we're running out of time here, so defining tomorrow for our listeners here is twofold. One, as we talked about resolutions, maybe you, like perhaps me in some areas, need to resolve to be better stewards of your money. And 2, the long play, as is said in some circles, is what you're doing here, it matters. Even if nobody sees it. I think people, and I'll keep this really brief because I know we're over time now, but it's just like whenever I was in San Antonio and I knocked on a church door and then later found out the person that answered it, who'd been vacuuming the floor, was the pastor. I don't know how many people knew that he was doing that, but the Lord put him there for me. And the Lord will do that for you too. Just make yourself available. And offer him what you have, like the little drummer boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mike, we've got one more thing coming up, and, I'm about out of voice, so I'm going to need you to introduce it.
Oh, boy. Okay. Coming up here, immediately following us for the last time in 2025, The Clash with Jeff Dixon and Chris Whaley. Stay tuned.
That was great, buddy. Stay tuned, fans. It's coming up right now. Happy New Year, Mikey.